Hello, my name is Bob Garfinkel. I'm the membership chairman for the Niles Essanay Silent Film Museum. It's my honor to present to you our journey, our meeting, Kathleen, my wife, and I, on our trip to Vevey, Switzerland in July of 2019 to visit Chaplin's World. Chaplin's World was at one time Charlie Chaplin's home in Vevey, Switzerland, which has now been converted into a museum. You can visit the home, and they've built what's called the studio next door, in which they have reconstructed scenes from Charlie's, some of his movies. So it's my honor to present this to you. Now, Charlie was here in Niles from January 16th to April 7th, 1915. And in this slide, this is a group of people standing in front of our building, the larger building in the background, and the little house next door. The man in front with the striped pants is Charlie, out of costume, and next to him in the white blouse is Edna Purviance, his leading lady. The Essanay Studio was just down one block to the north of our present location. It's the firehouse is there now. Now, after Charlie left in April, he went down to LA, and in 1922, he built this home as depicted in the drawing, which is a postcard on the left side. The house, the 11,363 square foot, 8-bedroom, 8-bath home is located at 1085 Summit Drive in Beverly Hills. The home was built in 1922. The left postcard is postmarked 1924, and you look at the vegetation, there's very little of it that's mature. By the 1930s, the home was fully engulfed in plants and trees. Now, on the opposite side of the wall from where that little red car is, the fence, and there's a gate, there's now another home. The Chaplin home is now valued, according to Zillow, at about $26 million. Well, Charlie made lots of movies down in Los Angeles area, but the last film that he made in America was called Limelight in 1952. Charlie went to England, as he usually did, to promote his movie. Now, Charlie never became a US citizen, even though he lived here for nearly 40 years. And while he was in England, he had been accused of being a communist by Joseph McCarthy, and they yanked his return visa. So Charlie was stuck in Europe. He couldn't come back to the United States. Well, in December of '52, Chaplin got off an airplane in Geneva, Switzerland, and he announced that he was only going to stay for a brief winter holiday. Una, his wife, who lived from 1925 to 1991, was expecting their baby, who became Eugene Anthony Chaplin, who was born in 1953 and is still alive. She wanted to settle down in a big house. The Comte de Bon estate, located Corsaire-sur-Vevey, was purchased in January 1953 for the sum of 600,000 Swiss francs. It served as Chaplin's last home and is now the museum known as Chaplin's World. Now, where exactly is Vevey? It's on the northeastern shore of Lake Geneva. It's easy to get to. There are trains and highways. You can take the train from Geneva, or we took it from Lucerne through Lausanne and then down. And it stops right in the station, the train station here. And there's a plaza out in front. This is the Astor Hotel, a very nice hotel. And the bus stop for bus 212 is right here in front of this store. So you take the train to the station, walk across the plaza and over to this building. The bus leaves at 8:38 after each hour. Now, if you're not familiar with Switzerland, when they say the train's going to leave at 11:05, it's leaving. It's starting to roll at 11:05. Same thing with the buses. And there's a bus stop right in front of the gate at uh, Chaplin's World, and a bus stop that'll take you back is right across the street. So it's very easy to get to, and the bus was very cheap. Now, this is a drawing of the backside of the house from the book Le Bonheur de Bon, Birth of Paradise, from page 89 of that book. So this shows what the house looked like in 1842. Now, where those cows are and the little trees, that's all gone now. It's a big grassy area overlooking the lake and the Alps to the back behind it. This is a house from the front today, and it's hard to get a good picture of it from the front because there's this big tree here on the right side of the image. But the house is the way it was when Charlie left. They did restore it in order to make it, to open it. Now you can go in through the front gates and go directly into the house without getting a ticket. The house is wide open. Now this is a picture from the book of Charlie and Una standing at the gate, and I like to say that this is, they're waiting for myself and Kathy to show up. Just kidding, of course. But the gate is the original gate, and it does appear in very old drawings and photographs of the manor. And this is the sign on the entrance to the gate for Chaplin's World, and it's right at the bus stop. Now, when you go in the foyer, first thing you see is this statue, mannequin of Charlie in the foyer, and Una's on the wall. The stairs go up to the second and the third story. They're circular. Now, inside the house, they have statues of friends of Charlie's, one of which was Albert Einstein. And this is in the main bathroom. And on the back, they have all kinds of formulas that you see backwards in the mirror. And one of them, of course, is E equals MC squared. Now, in the hall upstairs, they have a timeline. And what was disappointing for me is that they did not mention Niles. As it says in the sign, it says Chaplin joins the Essanay Film Manufacturing Company in Chicago, where he earns a weekly salary of $1,250, plus a starting bonus of $10,000. He returns for making 14 two-reel films. Now, Charlie made one movie to begin with in Chicago called His New Job. Now, as I say in the bottom, there's no mention of Niles. And the important thing about Charlie and Niles for three things. One, he made the movie The Tramp, which became his signature role through the rest of his career. He met cameraman Rolly Totheroff and his leading lady in about 30 plus films, Edna Purviance. He took them and several other members of the cast when he left to go down to LA. And these people were very important in his life. In fact, Rolly stayed with Charlie. He retired finally when Charlie made Limelight. Now, this is the dining room. All of the furnishings in the house, they tell us, are original to Charlie's time. His family still owns the property. When it was converted over to Chaplin's World, they have now relinquished ownership, but they still had all the furnishings. And so this is a beautiful dining room. There's artwork on the walls, and it is set up very beautiful. I took this photograph. This is the living room, and you see in the background the dining room. The clock was Charlie's and such. Now, there is a desk also in this room, but he had a separate office. Now, in this room, which is a library, they have a 16 millimeter projector that's not actually working. The camera or the projector is underneath that pile of books, which the little sign down on the bottom does say that that all the books on the table were Charlie's. And this is my wife standing next to Una and Charlie. As you saw in that earlier picture, Una was much taller, but she was like 34 years younger than Charlie. And so you can go in and stand next to them. As you notice, they're showing a home movie. This was a scene where they were out on a yacht. And so this plays in a loop, but you can see the books and such in the library. Now, the building to the left was the original barn when the property was a farm. It's now been converted to some offices. There's restrooms, there's a little cafe, and such. This part here was the garage. It's now the gift shop, and you go in here to get your tickets. And then this building is the studio. Now, Charlie made 81 films. 35 of them are highlighted in the studio. Now, we took with us a copy of David Keene's book about the Essanay Studio in Niles, and we're presenting it to a couple of the staff members, and unfortunately I don't remember their names, but this is inside the gift shop. And so they have everything that Charlie, all kinds of memorabilia, cards, postcards, books, photographs, bamboo canes, hats, whatever. Okay, inside the studio, they have more mannequins. Now, the one on the left, the woman, is Hannah Chaplin, who was Charlie's wife, mother. And they were poor in London, but Charlie brought her to the United States, where she passed away in Hollywood area. Now, Charlie had lots of friends in the movie industry. This is Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy in a film where they are painters. And you notice the paint bucket's about to tip over onto Oliver down below. This is Edna Purviance and Alfred Eric Campbell. Campbell lived from 1880 to 1917. He was the head waiter in The Immigrant, which was produced by Lone Star Mutual in 1917, and Edna sitting at the back table. Now, they identify who the statues are. There's little plaques on the floor. Now, to the left is Jackie Coogan, who lived from 1914 to 1984 as the Kid. The wings in one of the displays are the wings that Charlie wore in the movie The Kid. And I show in the right-hand picture a scene from the movie in which both Coogan and Chaplin are wearing wings where he's dreaming that they are angels. Now, famous scene in Chaplin's movie, The Gold Rush, is where he has the dancing dinner rolls. And they have dinner rolls with the forks, and that explains it all. Now, part of what you saw in that earlier timeline of 1914, there are multiple languages. Now, you want to point out that in Switzerland, there are 4 primary languages. There's Swiss, French, German, and Italian. And Chaplin's world is in the French part, but there's also a big overlap of Italian. So things are written in Swiss, English, and French. Now, they do have a reconstruction of the cabin from movie The Gold Rush. Now, at the end of the line, there is Harold Lloyd hanging from the clock, and the clock is over the pawn shop from the movie The Pawn Shop, which was filmed in 1916. And on the wall, the back wall, is a large screen, and in this one they're showing a scene from one of Chaplin's movies. Now, Charlie received an honorary Oscar, and this is the 2 of the Oscars. The one on the right is the one he won for the music for Best Music, Original Dramatic Score for Limelight in 1973. The other is the special honor that was given to him in 72, but he waited until he got the other one. Now, one of the funny things is on the Oscar over here on the right, there's a little patch of gold missing. Probably the kids were playing with it or something. Chaplin's original certificate says it's that Charlie Chaplin, whose genius transformed an industry into an art. And this is in a display case in the wall. Now, at the very end of that hall, as you see on the side, this is the part of the pawn shop, is Charlie walking up Niles Canyon Road at the very end. And another scene or 2 is when he does a little hop step and the film closes. They do show the tramp in a couple other places in the building. And this is the last scene. This is where the grave for both Charlie and Una. It's a couple hundred yards from the main house. And so after Charlie passed away, some grave robbers dug him up and tried to ransom his body, but they were caught and no ransom was paid. So Charlie is now buried completely covered in concrete over his casket. And then these tombstones, which are also thick concrete, are placed on top of their bodies. So this was our trip. I hope you enjoyed our journey to Charlie's home in Vevey, where he lived from 1953 until his death in 1977. Thank you, and it's been my pleasure to present this to you.